guys? This is Phil the MMA Dude back with the Split Decision Podcast, Episode 7, here with my brilliant co-host, the Fight Geek. Fight Geek, how you doing today, man?
Doing excellent, man. How are you?
Excellent. I'm doing well. We've got a very busy show today, as I'm sure you know, and I'm just going to break it down quick for the viewers. Guys, we have got a UFC Beijing recap. We've got Chuck versus Tito 3 recap. Then we've got the upcoming double card for the UFC, 2 cards in one weekend. The tough finale, RDA versus Usman, followed on Saturday by UFC Adelaide, JDS versus Tai Tuivasa. We've got the Wilder versus Fury boxing match, which we're going to touch on real quick. And then our favorite segment, the new smash hit segment, the listener questions. I said last time that we had the best listener questions. But you know what, Fight Geek? I think that the listener questions might have topped last week's. What do you think?
Yep, getting better and better each week. Again, we just appreciate you guys interacting with us and helping us make the show better, giving us the content you want to hear, and that's what we're going to touch on. So thank you guys each and every time.
Absolutely. Okay, so Fight Geek, let me start off with this question to you. UFC Beijing had Ngannou versus Blades 2 as the main event, as you know. First and foremost, I have to admit, I did not see this coming, as people who follow me on Twitter know. I definitely thought that Blades had this. Everything to me on paper said Blades was going to take this, all the momentum. Ngannou knocks him out in 48 seconds. Where does Ngannou go from here, and what was your take on the result?
Well, before we get there, I need to know, did you watch it live? Were you up at 4 a.m. watching the card?
Bro, I'm so glad you asked that question. All right, so here's the truth. So the answer is yes, like a gangstar. But I admit I was planning to totally bitch out and not see it live. However, luckily, I woke up because I'm neurotic at like 4 a.m. and I was being neurotic. I watched it. I didn't drink any coffee. That was the key. I drank no coffee. And then,
so you're saying you only woke up for the main card?
Was that at 4 a.m.? I don't think that was at 4 a.m. I definitely saw some prelims.
I was pretty disoriented. It was late, but I think the prelims kicked off at 1:30. I started watching at 1:30 a.m. where I was, and I started dozing off around 6:30 as Blades and Ngannou were walking to the cage. So.
Oh no, did you miss the fight? Did you miss it?
No, I caught it with, very sleepy eyes. I caught it, and I didn't even pay attention to the post-fight anything. As soon as I saw the result, I was in bed. So where do I think Ngannou goes next from here? That's a big question, because I don't know that we learned any more about him than we knew previously. We knew he had dynamite in his hands. That's who he is. We were talking on Twitter this week with some of our guys who interact with us. Shout out to Donnie, and I think the comfort factor for Ngannou, the fact that he had been in there with Blades before, there wasn't much of a feeling out process, and he was obviously comfortable. He came in, his hands were down, he was loose, he was you could see him warming up quickly, and that the first shot that hit Blades was incredibly powerful. To knock someone back and over like Blades, someone that big and strong, just tells you how strong Ngannou is whenever he is throwing confidently.
Yeah.
He has feet under him, big time stoppage. Obviously, there's been some dispute whether or not it was a quick stoppage or not. I think when you have a guy like Ngannou,
it was not a quick stoppage.
No, I agree with you. I think you have to stop that fight. Blades was turning his back multiple times, retreating, not offering any defense, and he was just going to keep taking heavy shots to the head and face area, and that was just going to end up with him completely unconscious. So I actually think that was a solid stoppage. Huge win for the career of Francis Ngannou. He becomes relevant again quickly, and I wouldn't put him in there with Stipe for a rematch. I was thinking someone along the lines of like an Alexander Volkov. That's a good striking match for him. We just saw Volkov knocked out, so we know that Ngannou will have a path to victory as well. But I think Volkov is the better overall MMA fighter, so he would have his path to victory as well. So that seems like a solid matchup with two guys that are floating in like the 3 to 5 range. in the heavyweight division.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
What about you?
Yeah, so, well, first off, to address that Volkov comment, I do believe that Ngannou, after the fight, did mention Volkov as a possible opponent. I think he was calling out JDS in particular right after the fight, insinuating, obviously, that JDS will win this week's fight against Tai Tuivasa, which definitely is not a gimme. But I thought that was an interesting call-out. I think he did mention Volkov as well. So
that would be interesting. I would say give the loser of JDS Tui to Curtis Blades. I think that's an easy matchup to make. Either of those work. I actually like the winner of either of those as well. I think I wouldn't really love the Tai Tuivasa matchup versus Ngannou right now.
Let me ask you this.
Go ahead.
Let me ask you this. Okay, so in Ngannou, I admit it, I did not see Ngannou getting this win, let alone getting in 47 seconds, whatever it was. Does Ngannou? No one is questioning his punching power. No one's questioning his boxing. I mean, it's amazing. It's truly amazing. But does he have the all-around game to win a title, even at heavyweight, where granted heavyweight is known, this is no knock on heavyweight, I think everyone will agree that heavyweight's known, generally speaking, is a little bit less technical of a division.
But to interrupt you there, most heavyweights fight until they're, in their early 40s at least.
For sure.
He's only 31 on paper, so he has almost, if he wants, probably 12 years left. I definitely think in the next 12 years, he can win a title in the heavyweight division, 100%, if he were to have the normal trajectory and lifspan of a heavyweight. He's a young heavyweight, a very young heavyweight.
Does he have to evolve? Does he have to evolve his style, or can he win like this?
Well, it depends on what the next crop looks like, because in a few years, this crop of aging, older heavyweights will be completely gone. Francis Ngannou and Curtis Blades may fight a third time someday. It may be a title fight in 2 or 3 years. They're two young guys in a division that's incredibly shallow. So, yeah, I definitely think he has not only title potential left, but definitely the ability to win a title at some point. Stipe Miocic is quite a bit older than him, and off the top of my head, I can't really remember when Stipe won his belt, but I'm sure it was much later than 31 years old.
Oh, gosh. I can look it up. I think it was around 31. I think it was 31, 32. That's out of my ass. I have no idea.
Off the top of my head, but who knows?
How old is Stipe now?
I want to say he's like 36.
Oh, you're right. Okay. You're totally right. He's 36. So then I guess that sounds right then.
So, again, another guy, Stipe was considered a prospect that we saw coming for a long time as well. And we saw him. He was a late bloomer as well. He didn't really get his title shot until, like you said, early 30s. So yeah, there's plenty of time for Francis Ngannou.
You're right, though. Yeah, so you're right. So it looks like Stipe first won his belt at 32. It may have been 31. I'm not going to do the exact math in my head, but it looks like it was at least 32. So you're.
So yeah, there's still hope for Francis. If you would have looked at Stipe Miocic the night he got knocked out by Stefan Struve, you would have never believed that guy was going to become the champion. Mm-hmm. So a very similar performance to something we've seen like with Stipe and Francis, where he just looked he got beat up and outclassed. So, you never know. Guys can improve fast in this game, especially dedicated hard workers. So I think that is the question with Ngannou. I think there's been questions about, his work ethic and stuff when he was down at the UFC PI, but from what I've heard, he went back to, Paris, and started working with his original team. I could be wrong on this.
No, you're absolutely right.
And that can be huge. That in association with the comfort of already being in there with Curtis Blades probably made him feel a lot more comfortable. I know some people discount things like that, but these guys are humans. They're dealing with emotions. Familiarity and stuff like that play a big role in this kind of stuff, in my opinion.
Definitely. The last thing I want to say about that Ngannou versus Curtis Blades 2 fight was First of all, Ngannou clearly came out with a fire in him. I thought him coming out to Tupac's All Eyes on Me was just dope as fuck.
Yeah, it was a nice touch.
He was mad. I mean, you could see the anger almost, rising out of him like vapor or steam or smoke or something. He was pissed, and it was fascinating to watch. And the other thing,
in contrast, I thought Curtis Blades looked too laid back.
Yep, that's exactly what I was going to say.
When they were getting in the cage, Curtis Blades just did not seem like he had any juice. I don't know if that was because they were in Beijing and the time difference and yada yada, but yeah, I was wondering that particularly in that fight because, like you said, Ngannou looked ready to go, but Blades kind of looked flat.
Oh, yeah, definitely. What I didn't understand is Blades kept going for the takedown, immediately. When I say immediately, I mean in the first 30 seconds of the fight. And I'm thinking, tire the guy out.
Threw him off easily when he was fresh and strong.
What was he thinking just going for these lazy takedowns less than a minute into the fight? What's he thinking?
Well, I'm sure he did. He watched that Stipe fight 100 times and just thought he was going to do the same exact thing.
Oh, God.
That's what the book is, So, anyways, let's move on.
Moving on. Chuck versus Tito 3.
Overeem huge comeback victory after a couple bad stoppage losses. I'm always been a huge Overeem fan, so it's good to see the old guard hanging on. Again, another
huge win.
Heavyweight.
Huge win.
Stops an undefeated newcomer, making his debut. Guy was 12-0. So we'll see more of him, I'm sure, too. But always the Reem. That was good. Anything else stand out? Kevin Holland had an okay performance. He continues to show quite a bit of potential. He's a long fighter, uses his kicks, kind of a goofy demeanor in the cage. Has a lot of talent, but I don't think we've seen the best of him.
I agree.
Luis Smolka had a great submission fight. Shout out to him. He's been on a roll lately. And other than that, yeah, we're moving on.
All right, moving on to Chuck versus Tito 3. Okay,
No, Chuck versus Tito. Do we have to?
Yeah, we have to. Here's my opening little thoughts, and then I want you to expand on this, Fight Geek. So when I first bought that card, I was stoked. I was obviously upset that UFC Beijing happened, at 4:30 a.m. I was able to see that card and go back to sleep, which I didn't get to brag about before, but just, I woke up, watched the card, went straight back to sleep, which was amazing. But then I kind of sold the whole night to my friends. As you guys know, I'm sure other MMA fans listening who have, sort of MMA friends, you try to, your mini promoter over here. And
you promoted the Chuck Tito fight to casual fans?
Absolutely. Oh,
my
God.
How dare you? They were probably terrified.
Oh, I have no shame, Fight Geek. You know this. I have no shame.
You had a Tito-Chuck fight party. What is wrong with you? I watched Tito and Chuck in the dark alone.
I make us in the dark alone. Easy, serial killer geek. Listen, I make Oscar De La Hoya look classy, all right?
That's true. That's not hard to do.
Hey, why'd you agree to that so quick? That's offensive. All right, anyways, yes, I sold them Chuck Tito 3, and I'm not going to lie to you. The second after Tito knocked him out...
Bill the MMA dude's the #1 purchaser of Wolf tickets.
Oh, my gosh. Well, everyone knew that. Everyone already knew that. The second that Chuck... got knocked out by Tito, and Tito starts doing the grave digging thing, I look at everyone and I think to myself, yeah, I'm evil.
Yeah, but were you mad that Tito did his victory celebration?
I don't know. It just felt dirty getting the whole card. I just felt dirty. I felt like a dirty person. What do you think? What was your take?
I felt pretty much the same. I felt like the card was...
The card was horrible. I mean, the card was garbage.
Card was not solid at all. I did think some of the production value, for instance, I thought the walkouts to the main event were halfway decent. I like Frank Mir as an announcer. They had a couple elements that were working for them. It felt very PFL on the build-up. And that's not a shot at anybody. That's just kind of how it felt as someone who watches a lot of MMA.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely think there's potential for another Golden Boy MMA event. But as far as the Chuck Tito fight, I didn't know what to expect there. I knew it wasn't going to look good. I don't really have a whole lot of analysis on it. I think it looked exactly how it was supposed to look and how, in reality, everybody knew it would look. I'm not
Fight Geek's a Tito fan, everyone. Fight Geek's a Tito fan. He wants to hide it. He's a Tito fan.
I'm not a huge Tito fan anymore, but yeah, Tito Ortiz was one of the fighters that got me into MMA, so I was a big fan back in the late 90s. So, but again, we're not going to claim any kind of huge victory here. You know, it was what it was.
No, I hear you completely.
On paper, it's...
I had to tease you. Come on, man. I had to give you shit on that.
On paper, it's Tito's 20th victory, and it'll be a win over Chuck forever. So on the resume and on wax, it is what it is. I don't think Chuck, his family, or his agents, or anyone involved should have allowed that to happen personally. And with that being said, I hope that we don't see any more 50-year-olds fighting in MMA.
Yeah, I totally agree. Really quickly, before we move on from Chuck versus Tito 3, and we're about to, I just wanted to mention Deron Winn and his victory over Lawler. I was very impressed, and wanted your thoughts on Deron Winn.
Well, he looks like Daniel Cormier clone.
Right? Right?
Yeah, even the way he talks, his demeanor, it's obvious he looks up to DC quite a bit, and that's a great role model and a great person to look up to, especially if he's, training partner and a coach. So he has everything going for him. He's at one of the best gyms in the world. I mean, AKA is one of the best gyms of all time in MMA. If you look at the lineage, the history, and they have currently, an amazing gym. So to have them backing him and him be there, that's a big bonus. Couldn't have been more impressed. Really loose, fluid striking style. It's clear he has big power. It's clear he can throw punches from multiple angles. And as a guy with an elite wrestling base, he looks like he's an elite prospect. My one question is if he's going to fight at 205, being 5'7" is going to become a huge problem for him whenever he gets to the elite level. I mean, consider him fighting someone like Alex Gustafsson or John Jones, who are 6'2", 6'3", 6'4".
Dude. Oh yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I swear. Okay, so he was on Ariel Helwani's show this week. Now I do not listen to Ariel's show live for the most part. I generally like to listen to it throughout the week, just so everyone knows. Full disclosure there. But I was listening to it earlier today, finishing it up. I swear that he said he was 5'5". I could be wrong. Guys, correct me if I'm wrong. Send hatred my way at Phil the MMA dude. Say you liar.
Crazy. So
I think he's 5'5", bro.
He's a great looking prospect, but at 5'5" to 5'7", shouldn't he be at 185?
Yeah, he should be like
max?
welterweight, like 170.
But he doesn't look like he has 20 pounds to lose.
He's got to find it.
He's stocky.
He's got to get some 80s workout videos.
Like a great prospect, right? We agree that he looks like a great prospect.
Definitely, but he's got to lose some weight. He's got to cut back on the cheesecake, bro.
He cannot be a 205er.
Oh, Gustafsson or Lionheart would eat him alive.
Yeah, just the size difference is crazy. So, all right, that's enough of Golden Boy MMA. Can we move off that?
Fine. We're moving on.
We got so much to cover this week. This is like an MMA fan's dreams. And on top, the cherry on top, we get
the tough finale.
Wilder Fury. I don't even know how the billing goes.
Hey, we'll get to that. Don't jump ahead. Don't jump ahead. I've got a little. I literally have a plate. I've written everything down on a plate.
It's on a styrofoam plate.
People cannot see this because we're not doing a video podcast yet. But there's a literal plate where I've written down the schedule. That's not a joke.
All right.
Okay, moving on. Tough finale, RDA versus Usman. I love this fight, okay? I love it. Who you got?
Nice. Who do I got? Well, I've gone back and forth on this one quite a bit. It's a very close fight. I actually like both guys quite a bit. But
that's not an answer, Fight Geek.
No, that is not an answer. And I'd like to pick both, honestly, but I'm not going to. I'm going to go with Kamaru Usman on this one. I've been a big fan of Kamaru Usman's for a while. I know he gets a lot of hate, but I think he's a physically imposing guy. Most people don't think he has good striking, but I think he has powerful striking. So his only loss is kind of a fluky loss when he was young to Warley Alves. So Dos Anjos is aging. He's a little undersized here. He just got beat by Colby Covington, who presented similar problems. barely, but I believe that Kamaru Usman's a better fighter than Colby Covington. I believe he does what Colby does, but better.
Big words.
I firmly believe that. If Colby Covington were to fight Usman, I would favor Usman.
Really?
Absolutely.
I wouldn't, but okay, go on.
All right, that's a fight for another day. So I'm going to go with Kamaru Usman here. His imposing size, his wrestling ability, and the fact that Dos Anjos has actually struggled recently with pace and wrestling. Kamaru Usman also possesses knockout power, so we'll see how that goes down. Not taking anything from Dos Anjos. He's a great all-around mixed martial artist, former champion. Been a fan of his as well, but I just think he's on the downside of his career and doesn't present the type of problems that are going to stop Usman. So,
fair.
How about you?
Okay, so even though I mocked your decision and made a lot of ooh noises in a fairly high tone, the truth is I've got Usman by unanimous decision, 3-2. I see it going almost identically to the Colby Covington RDA fight. I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be competitive. And ultimately, I think that Usman is going to really just assert his dominance and push RDA against the fence and just out-wrestle the guy. So, yeah, I've got Usman here. I was trying to diss your choice, but unfortunately I had the same one. So, that's how it goes.
That's what it is.
It is what it is. So, really, really quickly, really fast, wanted to touch on the 2 tough finalist fights. I am one of the weirdos, one of the loser weirdos who has watched this season of Tough 28. Fight Geek has not. Now, in Fight Geek's defense, he has an attractive wife. I am single. So not only am I not with a... Well, we'll just move on. But anyways, I'm a single guy, so I'm going to watch Tough 28, okay? And I've seen...
More power to you, man.
Thank you. Thank you for that. So the first fight is the heavyweight fight. Justin Frazier versus Juan Francisco Diepa. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, guys. I'm sorry if I'm not. Please correct me. But, this is really exciting because both fighters won their previous fights to get to the final with first-round knockouts. I happen to favor Justin Frazier just because I think he's got a little bit more striking power, but this is going to be a really exciting final, and that's rare for Tough, so I wanted to give that a shout-out. Now, on the female featherweight side, there's Pani Kinzad versus the winner of Leah Letson versus Macy Chiasson. I think I'm destroying the pronunciation of just about all those names, but I'm actually...
Just do your best, man.
Thank you. Well, as you can tell, I'm trying. Now, I don't know who the winner of that fight is. I'm actually missing it right now to do this podcast. #sacrifices. #Phil the MMA dude crying. And so that's a big deal for me, but I don't know who's going to beat Pani Kinzad. I don't know who's going to face her. All I can say is this, in conclusion for the women's featherweights of this season. God bless them, and may they rest in peace as Cyborg eats their souls and eats their hearts and brains alive. May they rest in peace, and may they get through the heavens.
Are you talking about Tough 28 or The Walking Dead?
You know what? They've blurred into one, Fight Geek.
You've lost me here. Anyways, we're going to move on. I'm going to shout out Antonina Shevchenko versus, and I'm going to murder this probably, Ji Yeon Kim, who's 11-1, a very tough matchup for Shevchenko.
Good call.
One that I've been saying is one to watch. So that's a good fight, actually, but I'm going to lean towards Antonina Shevchenko. Big fan of the Shevchenko sisters. I've stated many times, super talented kickboxers.
Shevchenko sisters!
Skills. Yep. Moving down, you got any picks for the Rick Glenn Kevin Aguilar fight or Aguilar? I put you on the spot there, huh?
So here's the truth. I've got a very intelligent breakdown of that fight, but I don't want to hurt people's brains with it. So it's kind of like high level.
I'm going with Rick Glenn there.
Okay, why don't you take that away?
He's getting some work done. I'm going to take Joseph Benavidez over Alex Perez in another very fun fight.
Me too. Wait, that one I have. Benavidez.
Oh, cool. Yeah, Benavidez, This is a dangerous fight for him. Perez has looked good his last couple fights. He comes out with a crazy pace. He has submission ability. So Joey B needs to get back on the winning streak, puts a couple positive performances together to keep his relevancy. Other than that, always a fan of Tim Means. Isn't he the Dirty Bird? Isn't that what they call him? Tim Means?
Yeah. Sorry, what'd you call Benavidez? Joey Beanie? Is that...
No, Joey B.
Joey B. Okay, I thought you called him Joey Beanie.
I don't know. Is that his nickname? I thought
that was about to make my entire week if you'd called him Joey Beanie. So never mind.
Sorry, man. I can call him whatever you want, though.
Please call him Joey Beanie, please. I think all the listeners out there are asking for that too. So, okay, moving on. Okay, is that everything on the Tough Finale? Are we ready to go to UFC Adelaide?
Yeah, I think we can go to UFC Adelaide. That's actually a very solid card that I'm looking forward to.
Yes, it is. All right, so JDS versus Tuivasa. Who do you got here? Because I think this is a fascinatingly hard call.
I think it's a very tough fight to call as well. But I think that JDS has a lot to prove. Former champion, has been alternating wins and losses, I think, for his last 8 or maybe 10 fights. We're looking at, an aging guy who's at a true crossroads fight. Dos Anjos won his last fight against a guy who was not ranked in the top 15. Now he's facing an up-and-coming Tai Tuivasa. He needs a win. I think he'll get it done basically off his veteran savvy and boxing ability. Tai Tuivasa just fought Andrei Arlovsky, who has good boxing ability, and they had a razor-close matchup, and Tai was getting somewhat busted up. He was getting hit fairly easily, and I believe that Dos Santos still has faster hands than Arlovsky, so I think he's going to get his hands on Tai. I don't know if he's going to knock him out because Tai's very tough, has a chin, and he's young. So I'll probably take Dos Anjos by... This is a 5-round main event, huh?
Yup. 5-rounder.
Actually, on second thought, I'll take Junior Dos Santos by 4th round TKO.
Woo!
But with that being said, I am a huge Tai Tuivasa fan. Big Tai Tuivasa fan. Again, heavyweights can fight into their 40s. He's a young heavyweight. We're going to be seeing him fight for easily another decade. So a loss here doesn't really hurt him in any shape or form. He's getting the experience. That's my thought.
And just FYI, everyone, if you're deciding whether or not to like Fight Geek and you like Tai Tuivasa, it's important to remember that he hates Tai Tuivasa and he's lying. So,
I love Tai Tuivasa.
Okay, all right, fine, Fight Geek. I'm gonna pick now that you picked. Okay, the truth is, I am going to disagree with you. I'm going to take Tai Tuivasa by 5-round decision. I think it's going to be a close one. I think it's going to be a fight. But I just don't see JDS knocking out Tai Tuivasa. I think he could. He most certainly could. But Tuivasa's no joke. And
TKO. I don't think he's going to knock him out cold. I think he's going to wear him down and TKO him.
I'm taking Tuivasa by decision, baby. Boom.
Hashtag split decision.
Hashtag.
Hey guys, this is Phil the MMA Dude from the Split Decision Podcast. Listen, if you're serious about your health like I am, you gotta visit healthyhabits.com. They've got all natural formulas and supplements to meet all your health and wellness needs. You can use or mention coupon code SPLIT20 to get 20% off your entire order. We're hooking you up here. I've personally been taking this Stem Cell Maximum product for about 3 months now, and I feel like a friggin' superhero. Seriously, it supports healthy adult stem cell rejuvenation. It supports a healthy immune system. It supports a healthy cardiovascular system. So what are you doing right now? Go on to healthyhabits.com, use or mention coupon code SPLIT20 to get 20% off your entire order.
Other fights on the card, Mark Hunt versus Justin Willis.
I'll let you choose first on this one, since you seemed a little heartbroken that I keep picking first. So, Mark Hunt versus Justin Willis. Another interesting matchup, another crossroads matchup, another up-and-coming heavyweight versus a heavyweight we've seen forever. Who do you got?
Can I get the next fight and you can take this one first? I want Shogun versus Pedro first.
Fine, you can have that one. I'm going to take Mark Hunt here. Big Mark Hunt fan. Mark Hunt is tough, and unless you present some very specific problems, Mark Hunt is going to be hard to beat. I don't think Justin Willis presents those problems quite yet. I think Mark Hunt will be hungry coming off his last loss. Mark Hunt just, you want to talk about a fighter, man. Win, lose, or draw, that guy's back in the gym, and he's back scheduled every 3 or 4 months. Mark Hunt is a warhorse. So,
oh, yeah.
I actually think Mark Hunt, this is the kind of matchup where Mark Hunt can have a highlight. I'll take Mark Hunt by knockout here. Maybe second round knockout.
Wow. You know, when I see Mark Hunt, all I see is a gorgeous, slightly wild girl that I'm dating's father who wants to beat the living shit out of me. That's what I see.
Is He-Man before your time?
A little bit.
I think it is.
You're very elderly. You're very elderly, Fight Geek, but I know it.
I'm an 80s baby. What can I say? Well, Google Ram Man, and that is Mark Hunt. Anyways, anybody out there, Ram Man, shout out to the 80s, He-Man. Yeah.
I know He-Man. Wait, I do know He-Man.
All right, moving on. So now you get to choose
the
next fight. Pedro.
Tyson Pedro
Shogun Rua.
Versus Shogun Rua. Thank you. So, I really want to say, Shogun's going to win this, he's on a downward slope, and he's going to show his back, and blah, 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 blah. But, unfortunately, that's just not reality. I see Tyson Pedro winning this. I think Tyson Pedro has had some difficult defeats, frankly, and I don't think that he's unbeatable. Far from it. I think that Shogun has a very decent chance in this fight, but that doesn't mean that I think that Shogun's going to pull it off. So give me Tyson Pedro in this light heavyweight bout. What about you?
I agree. I mean, we just saw Shogun Rua struggle with a long, tall, rangy 205er, and that's exactly what Tyson Pedro is. He's a long, tall, rangy 205er. He has a 3-inch reach advantage on Shogun. He's younger. So, yeah, I see this probably ending, we'll go third round TKO for Tyson Pedro, in my opinion.
Woo! Damn, I like it. All right, I like it. Anything else you wanted to touch on this card before we move on?
Real quick, I think Jake Matthews versus Tony Martin is a great fight.
Who you got? I got Tony.
I went back and forth on this, and I've got Jake Matthews.
Matthews is a guy
I got Tony. Since tough. He's had big potential the whole time. He's got wrestling. He's, an athletic, strong guy. But Tony Martin's coming off a big win. He's an athletic guy, too, so this was a great fight. Winner's going to be pushing to get into the top 15. And another guy I'm looking forward to watching is Sadiq Youssef. He's off Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series. Had a great performance against another top prospect on that show. Guy is very athletic, fast twitch striker. I think he's going to be one to watch. Other than that, go ahead.
Well, I was just hoping you were going to mention the really politically correct nickname, the Bear Jew. Paul Craig.
Is that Paul Craig?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm picking Paul Craig in that fight. I know some people
are you? That's interesting.
Yes, I am.
I'm not.
I was high on Paul Craig before he had a little trouble in his last couple fights, so I still think that he has, some potential, and I've actually like him over Jim Crute. From what I've seen, I know a lot of other people are leaning towards Crute, so not me. I'm going Paul Craig.
Okay, I got Crute, but I respect that. All right, so I think that's it with UFC Adelaide. Moving on.
So much to cover, and we're not even really going to get a chance to touch on the Bellator cards, but there is literally 2 cards on Friday. There's 2 cards on Saturday and a boxing match. There's literally 5 combat sporting events in our vicinity, and that's not even all. There's a KSW card this weekend as well.
I know, and we wanted to touch on
There's
all
not
of it.
enough hours in a day, unfortunately.
We wanted to touch on it so bad, and this is all I can say to everyone who is wondering, why didn't you cover the Bellator cards? Why didn't you cover KSW? I need you to stop listening to War on Drugs, stop being such a hipster and face pop culture in a reality embracing way. And I'm sorry, we're not going to talk about those fights. So,
Next.
Okay, all right, okay.
What's on your plate next?
I just lost half the listeners. Okay, Wilder versus Fury. Wilder versus Fury. Guys, I know you're thinking, this is MMA, what the fuck? Yeah, this is normally an MMA podcast, but guess what? Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder, sick as fuck. So we're going to cover it real quick. Who do you got, Fight Geek?
Wow, who do I got? You just throw me to the wolves.
We gotta keep it moving. People are gonna be saying, this is MMA. Why are you talking about boxing? What the fuck?
I think this fight warrants a little attention. I think this is a fight. First of all, we never claimed that we're exclusively MMA, Phil. This is a combat podcast. Okay, so it involves all of combat. Including glory, kickboxing, yada yada. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to take... I just watched the press conference, too. Wilder is so jacked up right now. He's pumped up, man. He wants this. Did you watch that?
Yeah.
Did you watch the whole thing?
Yeah, he looked a little too hyped up. Almost like he was nervous.
But can I ask you a question?
Mm-hmm.
Did that press conference feel like it was leading to a big event?
No.
It didn't. I felt the anticipation.
Well, okay.
I felt like
that was a very general... No, I mean, listen. Okay, define that.
I think that both guys obviously were compelling. I think both guys are incredibly confident. Like, they both firmly believe what they're saying. And the fact that, Tyson Fury is mentioning that he's the lineal champion going back to 1852 or whatever he's citing. I don't know. It just feels like there's some historical relevance going on right now. This is for the lineal heavyweight champion of the world. When it comes to combat sports, the lineal heavyweight champion of the world is one of the baddest men on the planet, period. It always has been, it always will be. So yes, this is a huge fight, and I know I'm sitting firmly on the fence because I don't even want to pick the fight. I just want to watch it.
Yeah.
But I want Fury to win, but I think Wilder will catch him. I think Wilder by 9th round. Actually, Wilder by 10th round TKO.
Wow.
My heart wants Fury to win. I'm on record saying that. But I do think that he's going to get caught by Wilder. Wilder's a great athlete.
Ladies and gentlemen, Fight Geek has spent the last 7 months convincing me to become a Tyson Fury fan, and in his moment of need, he has turned on Fury.
It's not a moment of need.
You have turned on him in his moment of need.
When I look deep inside of my head, I see him getting clipped by Wilder. What do you want me to do? That doesn't change who I like. That just is what I see.
It changes everything.
It does, doesn't it?
It does. I feel so betrayed.
So how do you see it? I duped you.
This is the truth. I've been thinking back and forth. I was like, fuck, Wilder's going to catch him. You know what? Wilder's not going to catch him. Fury.
He's not?
Fury by... decision.
That's what it has to be. It's either decision or knockout, I feel.
But you think Fury's going to either knock him out or not win?
No. Wilder by knockout or Fury by decision. I feel like that is the stylistic matchup that we're getting. So I think those are the two paths to victory. I don't think that Fury's going to stop Wilder.
No, I don't either. But I do think that Fury is such a he's such a clever and awkward fighter. I think he's
almost like a 6'9" English Floyd Mayweather in a way, but way more witty, much more witty.
I loved during the initial face-off when Wilder shoved him and he said, "Me wife shoves harder than that."
Yeah, of course.
You guys all like that British accent?
Tyson Fury is one of the greatest showmen in combat sports today. So whether he wins or loses, he's always a great addition to the landscape. So, you're going Fury decision? Mm-hmm. I want Fury decision, but I feel Wilder by stoppage. So everybody tune in. I think that's Showtime pay-per-view Saturday night, December 1st. Boxing is not dead. It's been a great year for boxing. This is going to set up to be the potential challenger to Anthony Joshua for even a bigger heavyweight fight. And there's other guys out there that we just watched. Usyk was an amazing performance recently. So boxing is back. It's a great year for boxing. So we can move on now.
Okay, all right. So moving on to our biggest hit new segment, the listener questions. Let me start them off with a really, really good friend of the show, Irritable Howl. That's at Irritable Howl, IRRITABLEHOWELL. Great friend of the show. He said, which two MMA refs would you like to see in a ref fight, and which fighter would you pick to be the ref for that fight? Assume catch, weight, and unified rules. Well, first and foremost, I can tell you this, Fight Geek. I misread the question, and I read it as, which two refs would you like to see fight, and which ref would you choose to fight to be the ref for that fight? I'm sorry. So that's what I'm going to answer, despite that not being the question, because I already have an answer written out. So that's the way it's going to go.
What is the question, though? Because I still don't understand. What are they asking?
Okay. Irritable Howl is saying, which two MMA refs would you like to see in a ref-on-ref fight?
Okay, that's pretty simple. Frank Trigg versus Chris Lieben. Two refs. Two fighters.
Why Chris?
Right.
Why Chris?
Well, didn't you see he's a ref? He was reffing at the Golden Boy fights this weekend.
Oh, okay. Okay. So you're saying, okay.
They're legitimate referees. Frank Trigg and Chris Lieben are two legitimate referees, both great fighters, so why not match them up? Both in the same size as well.
Fair enough. Okay, my quick answer. Again, I misread it. I thought that it was two MMA refs and then an MMA ref reffing those. So I said Dan Murgliata, just because he looks like a terrifying, angry uncle after you.
So he's one of the combatants, or he's the ref?
He's a combatant, to be clear.
Okay.
He looks like that uncle, like after you just had sex with his, with his niece.
Keep it clean here. He looks like the old bald guy from Night Court with a mustache.
Yes, after you've made out with them. Sorry. Excuse me. So, yes. That's corrected. And then I would like to see him fight Mario Yamasaki, because I want to let Mario Yamasaki be a warrior, okay? Let him be a warrior. Now,
you are so fair, Phil.
Who is the ref? Tim Mills. You're saying, why Tim Mills? Well, Tim Mills made my entire life. He made my life. When he started UFC Denver, it was Sanchez versus De La Rosa, and he said to Sanchez, "Are you ready to rock?" And then he looked directly at De La Rosa, and he said, "And are you set to get down?" And I knew that he was my spiritual animal forever.
He's your spirit ref?
Yep. That's all I have to say. That's it. That's the answer. So, Irritable Howl, shout out to you, and I hope you like that answer.
All right, please, let's move on. Let's wrap this up quickly.
We got a bunch of questions. We got a bunch of questions.
Yeah, well, if you keep...
Just go ahead. Just keep it moving.
With your misinterpretations. All right. Anyways, let's see here. I've got at Ben_Schofield99. I think we answered one of his questions a couple weeks ago. So, Ben, thanks for being a return listener and giving more questions. I like this one. It's he says, everybody is already saying that Israel Adesanya is the future, but don't you think they forget that there's also another younger fighter who is champ and has beaten better opponents than Israel has? I think Whitaker might be the most underrated champ in recent memory. What are your thoughts?
Ooh, I love this question. Do you want to start it or me?
Go ahead.
Okay, I love this question. All right, so listen, I think that there's a very, very real thing happening with Robert Whitaker being extremely underrated. He's 2-0 against Yoel, Soldier of God Romero. So just remember, he's 2-0 against that motherfucker, okay?
Razor close the second
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Took
Razor
massive damage. Not that that's a bad thing. Yoel Romero's an absolute animal, but yes.
Yeah,
That was a razor close decision.
Yeah, that's fine. It was razor close, razor thin, razor whatever. Close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, and this is mixed martial arts. So luckily, Yoel Romero's the loser, Robert Whittaker's the winner. And Whittaker's extremely underrated. Do I think that Whittaker versus Stylebender is destined to happen? Yes. Do I think that's going to be an
That's not the question. Do you think Whittaker's the most underrated champ?
Of all of the
all the champs, or in recent memory, the most underrated champ in recent memory?
He's certainly one of them. I think he's an amazing champion. I think he's fantastic.
There's no doubt he's a fantastic champion, but I'm going to disagree here. I think there's two champions on the roster today that are more underrated than Robert Whittaker.
Go.
One of them being Tyron Woodley, who I believe is criminally underrated by the MMA community, the casuals, and just the world in general. The guy is an amazing talent. He's an amazing champion. He's an all-time great champion.
I said he's in my top 10 all-time.
Yes, and he's not considered in that. He's not talked about like that. So I feel like he's underrated. And then the second guy that I will say is underrated for the same type of reasons, TJ Dillashaw. People do not know how good TJ Dillashaw is. TJ Dillashaw is one of the greatest fighters in the world today, and probably that we've ever seen in the UFC. And because of some drama and some marketing against him, people don't like him, which that's fine. He's figuring out a way to use that in his benefit. But TJ Dillashaw and Tyron Woodley, in my opinion, are more underrated than Robert Whittaker, who is held in fairly high esteem for being a young champion. Both of those guys have proven more than Robert Whittaker has, in my opinion. So that's my.
Go ahead.
That's my piece. So you got any more questions on that, or?
No, but moving on, we've got a question. Did we already answer Donnie question?
No, we just shouted him out.
Okay, Donnie Rocket at Drocket69, DROCKETT69. Will Amanda Nunes actually show up to her fight with Cyborg? And do you think if Amanda Nunes pulls off the miracle, does that already make her the greatest female fighter of all time? Go ahead, Fight Geek.
If she were to beat Cyborg, she is 1,000,000% the greatest female fighter of all time. Her resume...
Agreed.
It would not even be a discussion. She would be on the next level. I'm not sure she's going to win that fight, so I don't know. But yes, you have Ronda Rousey on your resume. You got Miesha Tate on your resume. She's a defending champion at this point. If she were to beat the pound for pound number one female fighter of all time, yes, I think that's the title that she would take.
Yep, very hard to disagree with that one. I think that if she beats Cyborg, she's got to be number one all time. And then really quickly, I've got a question from Paul O'Kelly. That is at SparksF1 at SPARKSF1. Will Connor take a DNA test and pay up the nappy money for his new baby? I don't know that much about the situation. Fight Geek, I know you're very into gossip and that kind of thing, so take it away.
To be honest with you, I don't know much about the situation either. I would imagine
I had to set him up, guys. I had to.
I would assume he's paying plenty behind closed doors, so we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's zero chance he gets away with not paying anything for that. Okay, go ahead. What's your question?
Okay, another one with the Israel Adesanya buzz. It's from Meep MMA. That's MEEP MMA.
Meep, what up?
This is with Israel Adesanya and Anderson Silva being announced a few days ago. Twitter has been divided. Do you think people are writing off Silva because of his age? Is he a gatekeeper for Israel? Or do you think Silva stands a chance against a prospect like Israel? Go.
All right, so...
And don't be dramatic. Give us a real answer.
No, hey, what? That is very offensive. What I was going to normally say is, I think that it's very hard to see this being competitive. I still feel, for the record, that this is hard to see as a competitive fight. I don't think that Anderson has
How
a great...
can you say it's hard to see as a competitive fight when he's in there with the greatest
What do you mean,
striker
what do I
ever
mean?
graced the octagon?
Anderson Silva is so over the hill, it's not even funny. You're making it sound like this is Anderson Silva from like 2007,
It's not
dude.
like his skills are gone. It's not like he's 49.
I mean, how old is he, first of all?
I think he's like 44, so...
Okay,
actually, you're
all right,
It's
well...
All right, we're getting there, aren't we?
Yeah, we're getting there.
Anyways,
We're getting there
maybe
real
I just
fast.
look at Anderson in a certain light, but...
You think Anderson has a chance? Are you saying Anderson wins?
I certainly think he has a chance. I mean,
he doesn't have a good one.
he doesn't have a large one, but I mean, anytime Anderson Silva, steps into the cage, he has a quote-unquote chance. Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
He's not a guy who is aged like other aging fighters. He's lost fights, but he's a guy who took Daniel Cormier on like less than a week and went the decision with him and had him hurt for a few seconds. So, I mean, Anderson Silva can roll out of bed on Sunday and fight still today. I'm sure of it. That's his DNA. So he's going to be able to go in there. And this is almost like a teacher versus a student type fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even though that's not the exact situation, you get what I'm saying. We're talking about a striking legend versus a striking dynamo, So I think that Israel, with his fast twitch and, obviously being younger, fresher, hungrier, has all of the advantages. But to say that Silva stands zero chance, I think is a little ridiculous.
No, I agree. Silva's got a chance. I mean, he's got a chance. Do I think it's a big chance? Not at all. But does he have a chance? Absolutely.
We forget that Anderson Silva submitted Chael Sonnen off his back after getting beat up for 5 rounds. So if this fight were to go to the ground, do you not see Anderson Silva having a huge advantage over someone like Israel Adesanya?
Yeah, sure. Let's see him take it to the ground. Derek Brunson couldn't do it.
He's a bigger, older man. Israel's is a smaller guy for that weight class, in my opinion, where Anderson's a guy who's been up at 205 before, and now he's aging. He's even bigger. So if Anderson were to get that fight to the ground, I think he has a huge chance. And the fact that Anderson is great at getting to the clinch, which is his Muay Thai background and base, if he were to get to the clinch and then get it to the ground and get a submission, there's many chances for him. I know he doesn't have a high percentage chance of winning, but he certainly has a chance. So, anyway.
Very fair. Okay, let me ask you this. If Anderson Silva wins, does he deserve a title shot? Because he said that he's going to get one.
Absolutely. Sure. Give him a title shot. If he beats if Anderson Silva is coming off of beating Derek Brunson and then he finds a way to beat Israel Adesanya, he's playing with house money, and you may as well throw him in there because we all love him, we'll recognize the name, and he'll have a huge buzz from beating a huge prospect. So if he's able to do that, absolutely.
Okay, very fair, very fair. All right, so moving on. So the last moderate one at THLASTMODERATE1 asked, between the 4 title fights on 231 and 233, between the 4 title fights on 231 and 232, which one is the hardest to call? And naturally, who are your choices to win that fight? Fight Geek, started off.
I was on Twitter today talking with some guys about this, and I think Ortega versus Holloway is one of the hardest fights
that
you could possibly ask anyone to pick in any era. That fight, there's so many pros on both sides of the coin here, Other than Max Holloway's kind of recent sketchy health concerns, the guy has been pristine. He's on one of the most legendary runs in the history of the sport. He's a young champion. I mean, just to tell you a story, he hadn't really broke through yet, but, I had some people over to my party and we saw some Max Holloway fights. And then later on, they were even asking me about, Max, the MMA fighter, Max. And I was like, kind of took note that people actually were paying attention to Max. I think this is a huge setback for him to be kind of out of the loop, out of the limelight. And because of that, I think that Ortega has gained steam because of his recent performances and the question marks with Max. So, I think this fight...
No doubt.
This fight is incredibly hard to pick, and I think anyone who thinks they have a lead or a beat on it is out of their mind.
I totally agree. I think it's a crazy fight to pick, extremely difficult. And do you have another question? Here, let me read one off really quick. I'm trying to get to them all. At 604 MMA, 604 MMA News. What's up, bro? Good friend of the program. Always got smart stuff to say. He says, what do you guys think of Moicano being named as an alternate for the Ortega-Holloway bout? Do you think it should have been someone else, or was that well-deserved? Who do you guys like to have seen as an alternate based off of each other's thoughts?
Well, I haven't put much thought into alternates, but I'm okay with Moicano as the alternate. The only loss Moicano has is in a well-contested match to Brian Ortega, who's undefeated and just putting on a show against the top 5 of the division. So I think it's clear that Moicano is somewhere in the top 5 talent-wise. He's a young guy. What is he, like 13-1, with his only loss being to Ortega?
Yep, it's something like that.
And not only that, but his specialty is jiu-jitsu. But when you watch him fight, his footwork and his striking is excellent. So there's no doubt that he's world-class, and he's proven to be at the top of that division, and I'm perfectly fine with that being the choice.
Yep. Hard to disagree there. I actually very strangely saw Brian Ortega versus Moicano at UFC 214, and I remember Ortega winning it by submission late in the third, and I wasn't overly, I wasn't that impressed with Ortega. I said, this is a sketchy fight. Now you look back on it, you see how good Moicano is, and you really appreciate what Ortega did.
Absolutely. That win looks way better now. It's aging well.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So, all right, I got one over here
go
from
ahead.
O'Brien. Anthony O'Brien at Elite Deadshot. He says, with trades being a new thing in MMA, would it be a good idea to do a trade between Michael Chandler and Stipe Miocic? That way Stipe would get the respect of the promotion he wants and has worked under Scott Coker before with Strikeforce, and Chandler gets to prove he's one of the top lightweights. What do you think about this?
Ooh. I think that it's something that is extremely possible. Now, do I think that it's a good idea? Not necessarily. Here's why. I think that Stipe is going to cut through the lightweight contender. Stipe is going to cut through the heavyweight contenders very easily. I don't see him having trouble with a lot of the heavyweight contenders. And it really comes down to that. Is Stipe going to be challenged? And I don't think he will be. And I can see you kind of having some thoughts here, Fight Geek. So who will Stipe be challenged by? Please tell me.
Well, I don't think Stipe would be challenged in Bellator. I think that'd be a good fit for him, though. He could go over there and be a reigning champion and get paid.
Sure,
so why wouldn't that be a good fit for him?
Okay.
It's more of a bad fit for Michael Chandler, who I'm a huge fan of. But I think if you were to bring Michael Chandler over into the top, or to the UFC's top division, which is 155, he'd probably be about the 6th or 8th best fighter in that division today, probably, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
Whereas Stipe Miocic would be the clear cut. He might be the best fighter on your whole roster if he were to go over to Bellator. So, it's an interesting proposition, but I don't see someone like Chandler wanting to make a trade like that at this point in his career. But maybe he would want to do that. But I don't see that being a great idea for Chandler. A better idea for Stipe. So, anyways.
Yep. Totally agree with that. Completely agree. Do we?
Cool.
Okay, what else do we have? We had so many questions, and I really want to try to address.
All right,
them.
I got this one for you from Shax.
Go ahead.
SHAQS at Shax777 asks, Paulo Costa is a scary guy for the entire 185 division. Your thoughts?
Okay, you want me to start this off?
Yeah, go ahead.
Truth is, and I know this isn't a necessarily sexy opinion, I think Paulo Costa's a little overrated. What? Yup. Overrated. I saw him get hurt by Uriah Hall. I know it's really fun to think of him as, this brand new superstar who's going to dominate the division. I get it. That's fun. That's a fun little fantasy. But it's not the reality. I think that he's going to get to top 6, top 5, top 4, and that's going to be about his limit. Do I see him challenging Stylebender? Do I see him challenging Whitaker? Absolutely not. Not even close. Go ahead.
You don't see him challenging Stylebender?
In a competitive fight? No.
Really? You don't see that? No, I think he's a scary guy for pretty much the whole division. I would have loved to
He was
see
badly
that.
hurt by Uriah Hall.
Yeah, well, Uriah Hall's an excellent striker. Uriah Hall stopped Gegard Mousasi, who's been stopped like 4 times in 50 fights. So Uriah Hall's a good striker. So that's not really like a check against him that he got staggered by Uriah Hall, in my opinion. So, yeah, he's a scary guy to the whole division. He's physically imposing. He's very fast and explosive. And I think he's even shown to have a pretty solid chin. He's taken shots and taken some damage and fought through.
Oh, he's definitely got a chin. There's no doubt he's got a chin.
So if he's got a chin and he's that athletic and strong, then he has to be a problem for damn near everybody in the division, man.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to see. I don't know. I guess consider me, not convinced on...
Skeptical, huh?
Yeah, I'm skeptical. Moving on.
Yeah, well, I think that does it for this week, man. We appreciate everybody for sending in all the questions and interacting with us. You guys can always find us at the same places. We're on iTunes. Leave us a 5-star review, please. Rate us. Let us know what you think of the show. You can also find us on iTunes. You can follow us at split_podcast. He's at Phil the MMA Dude. I'm at the Fight Geek MMA, and we'll see you next time. Peace.
Peace, guys. Thanks so much.